Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Thursday, February the 23rd. The year's 2023. Let's talk trading. Sticking to the plan, part 3 with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and different from Walmal. Walmal, I've been talking to the traders the past couple of days about sticking to the plan, so I want to get your take on it. How you stick to the plan, what you do when you fail to stick to the plan to get back onto the plan, etc., etc.
Yeah, well, I think it's the hardest part of trading in a lot of senses, that sticking to the plan, because you know the reality is we have a plan because we sat down, we worked out everything we're supposed to work out, we figured out what we're willing to lose, we figured out what we're trying to make on a particular trade based on a particular method. We've done all those things, and then we sit down and strategize, and we put together a plan, and we're going to go follow the plan. It's going to be so easy when we go follow that plan. It's just going to, I've done all the hard work, and it's going to be so easy. And then what do? You bust it. You bust the plan, and you don't follow through, and you don't do it. And the reality is that, making the plan, is not the hardest thing. Finding the method that you're comfortable with is not the hardest thing. The hardest thing is actually going and, following plan, executing. It's the type of thing that, that I had taken a class in college, on war history. Basically what it was is that it was a class, in a history class, where it just went through and talked about, why did certain generals win battles, and why did certain generals lose battles. And more times than not, what I learned by taking that class was that, all these generals all came up with great strategies for the most part, but most of them lost the battles because they did not, or their lieutenants did not go and actually stick to the plan that was laid out. And if they had, maybe they wouldn't have won, but they certainly wouldn't have taken the loss. And I say all that because I think that really, really, goes and lays into trading as well. Most of us, when we go and break the bank and bust an account, or whatever, it's because we don't follow the plan. It's not that we don't have a plan, so we don't follow the plan. And that's, for me anyway, that's the most important thing. Now, how do you stick to the plan? Now, that's going to be, I can tell you what I do, but just because that's what I do, that does not mean that that's what everybody should do. Everybody needs to follow their own way to go and stick to the plan. And it comes down to personality. I'm going to be perfectly honest, and I know, Tiro, you can go and attest to this, because you've seen me when I've busted my plan and didn't follow it. I'm pretty hard on myself. I'm pretty brutal on myself, and I don't like being brutal to myself, and I try to hold myself very accountable to that when I break the plan. So, for instance, when I break the plan, I tell Tiro that I broke the plan. I have another friend of mine who he's my lifelong friend, and I tell him, that, hey, I busted the plan. I tell my wife that I busted the plan, and I let these people go and, be fully accountable to me. So the number one thing I think is that if you are going to break the plan, become fully accountable, because if you become fully accountable, it's not that you feel like you're letting somebody down. It's just more of, it's in the back of your mind to not allow that to happen, that I have to go and give account to that. And that helps me. I don't know if that would help other people, but I know for me, it helps me tremendously. The second thing I do in terms of following the plans, and I don't do this as much as I should. I used to do it all the time, and I'm kind of ashamed that I don't do it as much, but I would actually go and read my trading plan every single day. I don't do it anymore. I should, and I really need to, because how do I stick to something if I don't have it top of mind immediately? Now, part of it is because I've been doing this long enough that now, at this point, it's sort of, it becomes kind of robotic. It's, trading should be, to a certain extent, like this. where it's just, wash, rinse, repeat, but at the same time, there are other things that happen. We're not washing machines, and or we're not just a machine that just goes and does things, because the market goes and throws all types of things in there to go and mess up your plans. And those are the caveats that are built into your trading plan or your methodology that can go and get you out of those messes. And if you're not paying attention to your trading plan and you don't have it, literally tip of tongue, at all times, then that's when you get yourself in trouble. And I find myself sometimes when I get myself into trouble, I'm sitting there like scrounging around. What am I supposed to do here? What am I supposed to do? I know I got a plan for this. What's my plan? And the next thing I can find myself into trouble, And so I would just go and say that the second thing that I need to get back to, just being transparent here, is I need to go back and start reading, trading plan, and making it more concrete. Now, part of it is, and I'll admit this again, transparency. Part of the reason why I don't do it is because I've changed direction on a number of things in terms of methodology, because of that, it changes the amount that I'm willing to risk on a trade, a deal, and even daily as my account has grown. And so some of those things I need to go and remap out, and I need to go and readjust to that. And I've got percentages that I kind of try to follow, but I really need to go and actually put it down in hardcore dollars and cents, pips, and so on and so forth. And I need to go and do that. And if I did that, I think I would be reading my trading plan more often. So that's something that I need to go and correct myself.
Yeah, now,
if I did that.
Let me interject something there, Walmal.
Sure.
You said you're hard on yourself. I'm going to have to send you this email about how when you make a mistake, you shouldn't beat yourself up. What you need to do, according to this sports psychologist, is you need to focus on what you need to do next. It's like, okay, so you threw an interception. It's like, you know what? I need to, scan the field and make sure there's no defenders, where I'm getting ready to throw, or something to that effect, or like in a trade, it's like, I blew a trade. Why? Because I was up, a pip or less than a pip, and the indicator said, you know what? It's done. You should get out. I didn't get out, and what happens? It goes against me, And so, but rather than beat myself up, I say, okay, you know what? I've got to get back in the game, and when that indicator says, it's time to get out, just take it. I don't care if it's 1 pip, 2 pips, or whatever. Just do it, because even though you might leave pips on the table, you can stack up a lot of 1-2 pip trades and make a bucket load of pips that way. I mean, yesterday I had a stupid day. What was it? 90 trades, 100 and some pips. It was, but
right.
Most of my trades were less than 2 pips.
Oh, I agree with everything you just said. I didn't say that it was being hard on myself is what I want to do, but it's the honest truth of what I do. And so, I can't change who I am, but what I can do is I can go and, basically swim in the river, in the sense of, and what I mean by that is, in other words, I know that I'm going to be hard on myself. What do I put in there in terms of guardrails to prevent myself from drowning? What life preservers I'm going to put out there if I'm in that river, and I'm going to be hard on myself. What do I do to go and make sure that I don't drown in my own sorrows, so to speak? Well, one of the things I do is, I get up and I walk away. If I sit there and I did, something really stupid, I walk away, and I think about what I did. I'm hard on myself because that's who I am. I can't go and mask that, because if I do, that's just going to be festering underneath in me, and that's going to cause more problems, I think. So I let myself get hard on myself, then turn it around and say, hey, but the thing is, I did this, and I did this, and I did these things right, and guess what? I still got money in my account. I can still go and play. I can still go and trade, which means that you know what, I'm not as bad as I thought I was, and I move on from there. And that's how I deal with it.
Yeah.
That's personality flaw that I have to go and overcome.
Yeah, so it's it's real important, traders, that you don't beat yourself up. Instead, you figure out, okay, here's the mistake I made. So to avoid that mistake, this is what I do. I take the signal when I see it. And then the next trade, that's what you focus on. You focus on your signal, you get it, you take it. And then, what happens next is irrelevant. But you take that signal because that's what you got. Speaking of signals, did you short this M30 or the open or anything here, the 50 line?
No, I did not.
Yeah, because price hadn't closed above 50 in a really long time here, and it crossed the 50, and I'm sitting here chomping at the bit, but I'm making videos, and my rule is don't trade while you're making videos. And then it came across the open, which would have been a perfect stack on, and it was just like, oh man.
Yeah, the open that he's referring to is the daily open,
right?
And he's been
and actually the M30 open too, because the you could have put a trade on at the 50, a second one at the M30 open, and then a third one at the daily open, or taken any one of those three trades and been up 5-6 pips or more.
Right. And taking your advice, going back to the topic of sticking to your plan and everything, you're exactly right. You can't be you can't just go and harp on it. Fine, if you know that you're going to be rough on yourself, you're rough on yourself. Get it out, and then go back and sit down at the table and just go and do what you're supposed to do the next time. And that's what you got to do. I think that's what makes you a better trader. And I just like to go and say that if you know there's something in your personality, work it out. And there is something about the psychology in trading. I mean, all the big trading houses, every one of them has got their own psychology department. Think about that. These guys make millions upon millions of dollars every year, and they wouldn't be spending all that money on hiring a bunch of psychologists if it's not important. So you and I probably don't have the money to go out and buy a psychologist to sit at our side all day long. But what we can do is we can get to know who we are, and by knowing who we are, we can go and actually look at the plan that we have and say, hey, is this a plan that I absolutely can follow? Because I think that's the next point of sticking to your plan. Okay, you spent all this time putting together a plan, but is it a realistic plan? Is it something that you can actually follow? Or is this just a pipe dream? If you type of thing where that, you need to go and make, on a trade, you don't want to go and do this pipping to death type of thing. In other words, win a pip type of thing. It's just too much anxiousness for you, for whatever reason, But you want to go, punch into a trade, let it run 15, 20 pips, 30 pips, 40 pips, whatever it may be, and get out. And you're sitting here with a method that only works for getting you 1 or 2 pips. Well, guess what? That plan's not going to work very well for you, and you're not going to be able to stick to it. So take that into consideration, that part of sticking to a plan is going and developing a realistic plan. You can't go and stick to a plan that's unrealistic for who you are. There'd be like, if you remember baseball, Dave Kingman, he was a big home run hitter, and you think about it, he couldn't hit a single to save his life. If he went up to the plate looking for a single every time he got up, well, guess what? He's going to strike out all the time. So pick the plan that makes sense.
Yeah, I did. You see what Price just did? It popped up across that 40 line. I think it would have given you about 3 or 4 pips, and now it just took them all back.
That's right. And that's why, trading the way I trade, if I would have taken that trade, I didn't get a trigger for that because I look at a couple other parameters that I would have gotten. I would have gotten 2 or 3 pips, and I would have gotten out. And, but another trader, if he's not using the method I'm using, but he's looking for that 20 or 30, like I said, he's looking to get all the way to 60.
Yeah, and you know what? The fastest 15 minutes in trading is just about over. So, fellow traders, that's Walmal's take on sticking to the plan. So let us know in the comments what you do to make sure you stick in the plan. stick to your plan, because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.